This is an industry in transformation. We are at very early stages compared to many other industry, and with data and technology, be it artificial intelligence, IoT, is going to completely transform the way facilities management is delivered.
You're listening to Smart Thinking, a podcast from WSP. I'm Matthew Marson, taking you on a journey into smart buildings. In this podcast, we're talking about how to operate a smart building. Joining me in the studio is Anindya Biswas, who is the Digital Transformation Director at Mitie. He leverages data and technology to improve the way that facilities management is delivered. Firstly, welcome Anindya, and the question I have for you is, in your opinion, what is a smart building and why should we care?
Thank you, Mitie. Smart building is all about using data and technology to improve the quality of services to the users and the operation of the building in itself. So it could extend into how the visitors are using the building, how the energy of the building is taken care of, how the maintenance regime is sort of offered. So there's an array of areas that we can work around with. However, every building has its own characteristics, and we define the smart building propositions around those characteristics.
Could you tell me a little bit about what you're doing at Mitie? What is Connected Workspace?
The idea behind Connected Workspace is how can we improve the way we deliver our facilities management services to the users? So it operates on two core pillars. The first pillar is all about improving the performance of the building. And the second pillar is around improving the user experience. And apart from that, we operate in 6 key imperatives around facilities management. The first one is about user experience. The second is all about the user well-being. Third is around how do we improve the utilization of the buildings. Fourth area that we operate is around the sustainability of the building. Fourth area are more focused on the hard FM pieces of it. The fifth area is about the resilience to ensure 100% uptime of all the critical assets. And the sixth area is to move from an input to a risk-based security model.
So it's a pretty all-encompassing offering.
Pretty much is. And traditionally, if you look into smart offering around building, they've been always working in silos. So whether you're monitoring environmental condition, you just monitor that. But what we're doing is we create that central repository of data where we can look into the utilization data, what is the impact of utilization on the well-being, to the sustainability, and then the maintenance of the critical infrastructure. So you get a holistic view of the entire building rather than a siloed view.
And that must give you a pretty powerful voice with some of your customers.
Yes, so the route to market was, again, we took an investment-led sort of an approach where we started proofing of concept. We invested in lots of POCs with different customers, and at the moment we're collecting a lot of data and information about those POCs and going back to the customers with the proof of concept, with the business case, and now scaling it up with some of the largest customers of Mitie. So it's quite an exciting journey at the moment.
But it's quite a big step to go from proof of concept to something that's scaled. How have you done that?
So the business case, during the POCs were very well defined in terms of what data we're collecting, what is the baseline information that we're going to measure against. And once we have proven that sort of portion and that piece of the information, that was magic basically. And after that, it was easy for us to create that business case. For example, with Red Bull, we were looking at environmental condition and impact on people's productivity. And we've seen the CO2 level was increasing during the lunch hours and the afternoon time of the day. And people productivity have fallen down quite drastically. And then we changed the BMS control of the building and monitored again, and we saw the productivity level increased. And Red Bull did an independent study, and they found the impact in productivity about 10 to 12%, so which is a significant jump. And if you talk about a space with about 100 employees, an average salary of 50,000 per annum, 10%, 12% increase in that productivity level is a huge impact on business. So it's a no-brainer basically.
Yeah, 5k per year per
yeah,
employee.
Absolutely.
And how were they measuring productivity?
So productivity was measured typically in the time frame, basically, how much time you typically waste during a day on organizing different stuff and things like that. So with Connected Workspace, we were able to improve that productivity quite a lot, actually.
That's great. And beyond productivity, are there any kind of key issues that you keep seeing again and again from your clients?
So many customers, utilization, especially in London real estate, is a massive issue where we find utilization of a particular property is quite low. That's the FM managers feel. However, a lot of employees generally say that we have no place to sit and work. And that's a typical challenge that we constantly face. And the FM managers with our customers, because of lack of data, they struggle to sort of justify the case. For example, we recently did one study with an organization which just grew through mergers and acquisition, and every organization that they acquired run their own portfolio. And so it's 2 buildings in Leeds operating at 50% utilization level, but they have 2 different assets sitting on their portfolio. What we did was, after that study, we closed down one building, improved the utilization of another building by about 78% from 50, and that's how we were able to save significant amount of money. Apart from that, we also run, guaranteed, energy performance contracts where we do the procurement, we do the demand side management and the demand side response side of it, and improve the energy patterns and energy consumptions in our customers. And there's a gain shared model which customers are subscribing into.
Wow, so it sounds like you're basically kind of tackling the 3 big buckets of cost that a company feels.
Pretty much.
So that's energy, the space that they're in, and the person themselves.
Absolutely.
It's a really powerful offering. I wanted a bit of advice from you. Let's say that somebody wants to use IoT to improve the operations of their smart building. What would your top tips to them be?
So any IoT device that you're currently using, the technology is evolving so quickly, so we have to be very cognizant about what technology you need to put in your organization. Cost is an important factor that you need to put in place. Also, whatever IoT device you are installing in your offices, in your environment, there has to be an open API. The data needs to come out of that organization so that you can use it in multiple ways. So open API, cost, these are 2 important barriers. Apart from that, you also need to look into what kind of technology that you're using. There's so many technologies out there. Currently, we're using a lot of LoRaWAN based technology. However, there are devices made for NB-IoT and Sigfox and various other networks. So until this, what kind of network you're operating in, you have to choose those devices accordingly.
So that's quite interesting. Does that mean that you're not using the existing IT infrastructure that your customers already have?
We definitely use the existing IT infrastructure as long as they have open API around it. And we find some problem around, say, room booking systems. A lot of suppliers have closed protocols around it. And with that closed protocols, you're not able to extract that data to use it any further. For instance, in large number of organizations, we see that for every particular service, you have a different app, and the employee experience is absolutely horrid because you have 20 different apps for doing 20 different things. Ultimately, you basically require one app which then can interact with multiple devices through the open APIs on the gateway.
And have your customers' IT organizations been supportive of what you've been trying to do?
So there's always that InfoSec clearance, which is quite critical for most of the IT organizations, because it has to be outside the network. It should not interfere with the Wi-Fi connectivity. So we tend to use, more Bluetooth-based technology rather than Wi-Fi-based technology, because there's a lot of, security-related issues that we come out with, and some of these InfoSec approvals take about 6 to 9 months' time. However, the times are changing, people are evolving, and so the resistance to change is a bit of a challenge. However, it's coming down now.
What are the biggest things that Mitie has learnt since they've used IoT to operate your customers' buildings?
Managing the whole data set is a massive challenge that we need to sort of address it absolutely head on, because we're talking about terabytes and terabytes of data coming into your system. How do you manage and handle that data is quite critical. Second area is around that whole device management piece, because you're talking about installing millions of IoT devices across a customer's portfolio, and how do you manage that? So creating that whole device management infrastructure around it, whether you buy it or partner it or build it, it's absolutely critical. So these two are the most important elements. And then creating those business rules around the data, and what are the threshold, what are the barriers, and how do you use that data to create insights and take actionable measures are the three major learnings that we've done so far.
Am I right in thinking you've actually invested in a team of data scientists?
We do have a team of data scientists. Our head of data science is a former Googler. So we've been learning a lot about the kind of probabilistic model that we're operating in. There's a lot of machine learning curves that we operate at the moment. So yeah, it's quite an exciting journey.
Who'd have thought that even 5 years ago that a facility manager would have a data science capability?
Absolutely. I mean, this is an industry in transformation, and I'm quite happy to be in Mitie at the moment because we're pioneering this space. Lots of organizations are doing multiple, they're approaching the market in multiple ways. However, our approach was again very investment-led. We put in investment in technology and people, and we are gradually seeing some changes around in the market.
Fantastic. Thank you for the advice. A big thank you there to Anindya Biswas, Digital Transformation Director at Mitie.
Thank you.
In our next episode, we'll be talking to Miguel Sosa about his experiences of working within a smart building. If something in this episode has piqued your interest, then have a chat with us. Email smart@wsp.com. You've been listening to Smart Thinking, a podcast from WSP. I'm Matthew Marson, and thanks for listening.